Yes, friends. So this probability is also known as frequency based or frequency related approach. The second approach, which is known as empirical approach, experimental approach, or frequency related approach, right? Or posteriori. Why this is posteriori? What is this posteriori? Why this approach is known as posteriori? Let me talk about this. Why this approach is posteriori. Posteriori, R-I-O-R-I. Posteriori means this probability or probability, this definition of probability or this probability is based on, the definition of probability is based on the past experiences. Posteriori means past experiences. Past experiences. Past experiences. Okay, just like the cases of insurance policies, right? Mortality rate found on basis of, let me take cases of, like the cases of mortality rates defined on the basis of insurance policies, or insurance policy defined on the mortality rates. Mortality rates defined on the basis of insurance policies. Right? Now insurance policies can be either business related insurance policies, personal insurance policies, vehicular insurance, all kinds of insurance policies are based on this kind of approach. All kinds of, let me write here, all kinds of insurance policies. All kinds of insurance policies are based on this approach, are based on frequency related. Because when frequency related to this one, that this is the frequency means for particular number of years. Now within this year we have found that these people die, okay, and their insurance policy is not being cashed by them or is to be returned to them. The policy is to be given back to those people. The money is to be decided like this. Okay, so all the present experiences of insurance policy, they are based on this second empirical approach. Empirical approach or experimental approach. Why this is based on experiments? But we have done already the experience, insurance policy, okay, given to those people, and this kind of policy has resulted in this case. Okay, so the same kind of activity can happen in near future. So all the past experiences telling us this empirical approach. So experimental or empirical approach or posteriori. Posteriori means when the based on past experiences. Posteriori. With a posteriori approach are based on frequency related or past experiences. Right, past experience. So this is known as posteriori. Hence it is known as posteriori approach. This approach of probability, to find the probability of getting what kind of insurance policy, what the result of this is going to happen, what is the mortality rate of the people. So in that way, if we find the probability of mortality rate of the people or based on insurance policies, then that result, which is calculated on the basis of this kind of approach, is known as posteriori approach, past experience. Okay, so this is past experience. So this approach is based on past experiences. So all kind of policies, insurance policies, past experiences. Okay. Hence it is known as posteriori Hence, it is known as posteriori approach. Posteriori or posteriori approach. Okay, posteriori approach, empirical approach, frequency related approach, all kinds of definitions. But why frequency? Because when we find the frequency, how many times is an indefinite number of times, and denotes to infinity. And denotes infinity means when any activity is repeated number of times, indefinite times. Okay, and that n tends to infinity, that means indefinite number of times. That is known as empirical approach. Or okay, so posteriori approach, empirical approach, or experimental approach, or frequency related approach. This is second one, very important one. So based on this definition of probability is in this way. Okay, so probability of A is equal to limit n tends to infinity, number of favorable cases divided by total number of cases. Same way, definition is probability of same, that number of favorable cases divided by total number of equal likely cases or a total number of cases. Okay, so that is the probability basic definition. The same basic definition is given in this situation is limit n tends to infinity, probability of number of favorable cases divided by total number of equal likely cases. Okay, so that is how the second approach. Let me talk about the third approach. How the third approach, which is known as subjective or personalistic approach. What is personalistic approach? And how this M. Ramsey gave this? The name was Frank Ramsey. In 1926, this definition came up. Frank Ramsey, the third person, as I talked about. The third approach, which is now question number first we are discussing about. The third approach is subjective approach. Subjective or personalistic. Why this personalistic? I'll just talk about personalistic. Subjective or personalistic approach. Personalistic approach. This, as I've told you, this approach given by or based on theory given by Frank Ramsey. Frank Ramsey in 1926. In 1926 tells us that the probability of giving 0 to somebody or 0 probability to somebody or 1 to somebody, the probability of giving 0 or 1, let me take 0 or 1 to a particular event is based on one's personal experience. That's why it's known as personalistic approach. What is personalistic approach? What does it mean? Now suppose a teacher has given mark 1 to, which is the highest mark in the case of probability. So mark 1 to a person based on his own experience, based on the class studies, the class assignments given by the person, by the student. This particular student is given mark 1 or mark 0, whatever, based on the experience of the teacher with that student. Whatever students has submitted the research papers or classical studies or class study, the teacher knows that, or it may be biased also, because sometimes teachers are just taking side of a person, even if the person is not so intelligent. So I mean, this is a personalistic approach. Okay, it may vary from person to person. Suppose there is another teacher, and for example, in my class there were 2 students, or there was 1 student, and that student was very egoistic type, and he was not so much good at his studies, as I found. He was not studying anything, and there were a number of other students who got 30 out of 30 marks. I gave them 29 marks, but this person was allotted only 19 marks. The reason was whatever he wrote in the newspaper, in the papers, I mean in the notebook. Okay, after the examination was over, because there was the examination was of 30 marks. Out of 30 marks, then he came to me and he asked me, "Sir, why didn't you give me 100 or 30 marks or 29 marks or 28 marks out of 30? I asked him that whatever you have written in the paper or in the notebook, on the basis of those questions you have replied, you have answered, I have marked you. I have given you those 20 marks or 19, I think 19 marks or 20 marks. I'm just forgetting, because this is the event of 20 or 30 years back, the activity of that student." And then he was telling me, this, "Sir, the particular sir, the teacher has given me 30 marks out of 30. Why you have not given me this?" Then I challenged him that take your notebook out and just see that why I have allotted you this much number of marks, because you have not answered properly what question was there. You have answered in different way, and check other person who has got 29 marks or 25 marks or whatever, and how they have answered the question paper. So that then he smiled at me and he told me, "Sir, you have not done well with me." He was threatening type. Okay, he was smiling. Then I told him that if you have supari to kill me, then kill me. If you have got a chance of, the allotment you are allotted by a person to kill me, then kill me. Then kill me. If you have a supari to kill me, then kill me. Then he smiled and went away. So I mean, this is the possibility. It based on that particular teacher has given him good marks, but I have not given, because it's not based on the written material, whatever he wrote down in the paper, answer sheet. So the marks were allotted to him based on that experience of mine, and particular teacher's experience was saying something else. So this is how the percentage of marks or percentage of probability is allotted 1 or 0 or what. In this case, probability is 0 and 1. When 0 is allotted, or between marks 0.5, 0.2, 0.3 up to 0.9, or what marks are allotted to the student. So this depends upon personalistic approach of a person, right? So this is known personalistic approach. So probability, when calculated on the basis of personal approach, and now it may vary from person to person. Okay, so this is not proper definition of probability. It is just based on guess, because it may vary from person to person. It may not define the proper things of, for example, if it may rain tomorrow, may not rain tomorrow, this definition cannot be defined in the proper way. So these kind of definitions, a person will be allotted something or will not be allotted something. It depends upon a person's personal approach. The same, even if the another person has given him the feedback of that person, that this person should be given this kind of marks, okay, but you have allotted him only 0. Why 0? Because your experience says that that person has not done properly in the class studies, or in the studies he is not good. That's why you have allotted him 0 marks or whatever marks or 1 marks. So this probability is based on personalistic approach. So this personalistic approach is vary from person to person, because some other person has given him 1 marks, you are giving 0 marks. That may vary. It depends upon personal experience or personalistic approach. This is personalistic approach. So third is subjective or personalistic approach. This definition is just as I have listed it, that it may vary from person to person. If one person has given some more marks to the student, but other has given lesser marks, the reason is his personal experience with that person or approach of the person. So this is varied. It has different results, not singular results. It's not 100% two type of result, we may say, because in case of the first classical definition, those definite results were definite. They could be said in advance. Okay, the result of that activity was said in advance. That was 100% true in the first definition, classical definition. on the basis of the classical definition only these questions are being done. Okay, so we will talk about these questions based on classical approach only, first approach. Second, third, all these approaches I am talking about because some of the differences are coming, that what is this approach, what is that approach. Students have asked me this question. That's why I have taken all these 4 approaches. Or some of the teachers have only discussed about 3 approaches. They do not take this personalistic approach, this subjective or personalistic approach. They only talk about those 3 approaches. First is the classical approach or priori approach or posteriori approach, empirical, and third is axiomatic approach. Fourth one is, so they talk about only those 3. They take axiomatic approach. This is the last one, the 4th one in this case. Only those 3 subjective approach is being not taken by them, but this subjective approach is based on personal experience. So on the basis of personal experience, a person is allotted some percentage or some probability. Probability means the chance, the result of that chance, what the person is going to achieve. This is how personal approach is. Okay, this is the definition of personal approach. Now the 4th one, which is known as axiomatic approach, is very important because this is the final result based on 3 axiomatic approaches which were given by A.N. Kolmogorov, the Russian mathematician. Russian mathematician in 1933, latest one. The 4th approach, which is known as, so this posterior, this subjective or personalistic approach is just defined by, just illustration by me. This is personalistic approach known as, okay, so this is how it defines the probability of a person. Okay, so this is personalistic approach known as. Now let me take the 4th one, the last one, which is very important. The 4th approach. Okay, the first question, this is 4th approach, which is very important, known as axiomatic approach to probability. Axiomatic approach to probability. What is this axiomatic approach? Let me define this, very important, to probability. Axiomatic approach to probability, which is very important. So in 1933, given by A.N., as I talked about, Kolmogorov. Okay, this approach, according to this approach, or according to this approach, the definition of a probability of an event, probability of an event is based on 3 axioms. 3 axioms, or we can say 3 possibilities or 3 theorems. Okay, this one is theorems also. 3 theorems. What are those 3 theorems? First theorem is that if the probability of an event, is PA is equal to, let me take again, m upon n, which is m upon n, then probability of its failure will be 1 minus m. This is suppose m upon n I have, as I defined in the first one. The probability of this will be m upon n. Let me talk about this here. So first one is probability of an event. This is first approach, that the sample space is given to us. Probability of A is m upon n, is first thing. and probability of A naught, which is n minus m upon n, which is 1 minus probability of A, right? Or we can say probability of A plus probability of A bar is equal to 1. So if probability of success or probability of failure we have to calculate, then we can find out this with the help of the probability of other type. Suppose probability of failure is to be calculated, then 1 minus probability of success. If probability of success is calculated, then 1 minus probability of failure if it is given to us. For this, the first approach, that when the sample space is known, then the probability of sample space and probability of sample space is equal to 1 always. Okay, sum of all the probability of all the sample points is always equal to 1. Sum of the probability of success and probability of failures is always 1. Second, what is the second approach here? Now, second approach, the second axiom is that the sample space must be definite. The sample space must be definite. If the definite sample space is there, then as I have just talked about, probability of S is equal to 1 always. The probability of S then, the probability of then S is equal to 1. Okay, so for this is the probability of S equal to 1. For sample space is definite, the probability of that sample space is totally equal to 1, which already I have calculated. The probability of failure and success, in this way we have to know about the probability of failure and probability of success. Those two events are known to us. And what is the third approach? Okay, so in this way, the probability or definition of probability we can understand. What is probability of sample space, what is probability of success and probability of failure. So those two approaches are there. Then the third approach, in this case, what are known to us? Then the third approach is where the axiomatic. The third axiom is the third axiom or basic concept. The third axiom number 3 is the probability of an impossible event is 0, and the probability of definite event or certain event, the probability of certain event which is going to happen, certain event is 1. Okay, in this way, probability of A naught, for example, the probability of A naught, as I have to just talk about that, for example, let me take for illustration or for instance, for example, if a die is thrown, then sample space, what is sample space? Then S equal to sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What the probability of getting 1.6? So the probability of getting all these events, sum of all these events will be 1.6, 1. Okay, now if I have to find what is the probability of 7, but 7 is not there, is impossible event. The probability of 7 will be 0. Here probability of 7 equal to 0, which is impossible event, uncertain event. The probability of 7, because 7 is not given here in case of throwing of a die, okay, or throwing of a dice is thrown. In that situation, probability of 7, which is impossible event, is 0. Probability of certain event is 1 always. So this is the third axiom. We assume this. that what is the probability of certain event is always 1, probability of failure or probability of an impossible event or uncertain event which is not there is always 0. In this way, how these three approaches are given to us. Okay, these are the three approaches on the basis of this. So these four approaches, three axioms are here. There are three axioms. Axiomatic approach is based on these three axioms was given by A.N. Kolmogorov, a Russian mathematician. The last approach is this. This is very important. On the basis of these three things, three axioms, we define probability. So probability is basically this definition, the last one, is mostly popular or based on the first one. On the basis of these four approaches, we define probability. So probability definition we have defined. Now second question onwards I'll take in the next lecture series or in the next lecture after just 5 minutes time. But before that, I have just taken this first question and all contributions of the scientists, mathematicians who have contributed in the same field, right? So this is how I take the second question, define the following terms. What are these terms? Random experiment, sample space, I've already talked about, sample point or event we will talk about, equally likely event. Then what are the equally likely events? Events also. What is sample event? Sorry, simple event, compound events. We will talk about them. All these terms are known to be, must be known to the student. Only then we can understand that what are all these things, how these questions are being solved. Okay, so I will take these terms. So let me now, all these axioms, okay, the fourth one is axiom-based approach. Axiomatic approach given by